Welcome back, gods and goddesses, to the Gifted Goddess channel, where I channel my gifts for the collective advantage. And I encourage you to not only seek your gifts, but to find meaningful ways to use them for the collective in any way they deem fit, or the Most High and your spirit team, right? So let's get straight into the message. For this, I was channeling or getting the movie. Something about channels are significant. Someone flipping through channels is what I'm getting. Flippant in your energy, back and forth, indecisive, Libra energy. Okay. But what I was getting for this message is hope floats. Okay. So if you never watched that movie, it's an older movie with Sandra Bullock in it. What I was hearing when I first got the message earlier was, I would have turned myself inside out for you. So that could be significant for you. I'm hearing in a past or current relationship. You're just with someone, or you were with someone, an ex in particular, where you would have done anything for this person. Someone with a southern accent could be significant, a southern belle, someone who was raised with southern like principles, right? Kind of that southern hospitality. I'm just seeing, okay, a cowboy like a man's man and a woman staying in her place, basically. But in the movie, she says, I would have turned myself inside out for you. And come to find out, she was from the South. She moved to New York or something with her husband. He was this big businessman. He ends up cheating on her. They get a divorce. He slept with her best friend. Any of that could be significant. I hope not, but it could be. Right. God help us, anybody who's going through those situations, because that could be hell. But she kind of ended up having to pack up her things and move back home to the South with her mother, who was this very eccentric woman. Something about taxidermy could be significant. I'm just the embalming of it all. Yeah, that's for somebody. That's a confirmation for someone. But or perhaps you come from a family with a unique background. Okay, I'm also getting practical magic with Sandra Bullock. Okay, you could have a family that is in the occult things, or you guys are just, some people are just naturally witches. There's no politically correct way to say that. At least I don't think, right? Some of us are just born into it. Some of us grow into it, whatever it is, right? And I don't mean that in the negative Western society sense, right? If you know, you know. If you understand, I don't got to try to get you to understand. Remember, always take what resonates. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. If it does, then just catch this vibe. Nothing personal. Remember, all these messages are timeless. So whenever you're seeing this, you are meant to see it in divine timing, in divine order. You have pressure in your ear. I'm getting a lot of pressure in my left ear. That could be significant for someone. Also, I'm hearing wind chimes in the background near me. That could be a confirmation for someone. I'm just hearing clearing of the energy. Someone needs to clear their energy of this situation. Okay, back to the story. Okay, so she's telling him basically heavy ancestors in the energy as well. I just saw, okay, just trust me, it's goddess math, okay? So numbers mean something different to me, as you have numbers of significance for you. Just trust that, I know the numbers to tell you, okay? Or the messages, right? Something about that is significant. Maybe you are needing to understand how to decipher the numbers you keep seeing, right? It's not always just a angel number. It's not always just 333, right? You might can see, let's say 409, for example, every day, and you're not picking up on why you're seeing it every day, okay? So Anyway, in the story, before she leaves, she like tells him like, I would have turned myself inside out for you. I would have did anything for you. Like basically, why would you do this? And he was just like, he fell out of love, blah, 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 right? She ends up going back home to the South with her eccentric mother. Like the whole town is like, oh, she's weird or whatever. So she's kind of embarrassed of her mother, but her mother is like completely herself. Something about that is significant, right? And she's kind of having to tuck her tail and go back to her mother's house. You could be dealing with this after a breakup and have this situation. Anywho, she gets back out down there. She kind of reconnects with her roots, and what she's finding out is who she used to be wasn't so nice, right? So she was the prom queen and all the beautiful things, but on the other side, the flip side of that, she runs into people who say, like, there was a girl who said she like bully her and say she wasn't a nice person. So really, if you look at this from let's say a spiritual learning standpoint, okay, class, do you have your pencils ready? Do you have your notebooks? Are you ready to take notes? To me, what this is signifying is someone having to do their shadow work, having to clean out that closet, go through your like spiritual inventory, go through your past and see what things you need to clean up and how you can clear out this energy, right? As we had with the wind chimes coming through earlier, right? The ancestors are really calling you home to yourself to start looking within and clear out your energy, right? It's not just about saging and all the things, right? Sometimes we really need to do the shadow work. I am a big proponent, I am a big champion of doing the heart work. If you are interested in doing the heart work, you can find my journal, the Heart Work Journal, on Amazon. And it just helps you undo and unblock some of those emotional blockages and traumas that we kind of have stored in the heart chakra so you can access or promote a better flow of, the life force energy, right? So all the systems and all the chakras can work as they're intended to do. So then you can elevate, get into that Christ consciousness, activate the star chakra, figure out your purpose, and live your best life, right? Easier said than done, but it all starts with clearing out your energy. So someone's really being called to clear out that heart space. And what ends up happening is she goes back home. She kind of confronts herself, confronts being scared, confronts running away. Her mom even says this to her, I believe, right? Like, what are you scared of? Like, you run from things. You don't have to run from things anymore. Like, face it head on. Something about that is significant. And, she has a daughter with her, and the daughter is kind of a point of contention because, of course, the daughter wants to go with the dad, and there's this back and forth, but the dad isn't really trying to take the daughter, right? So that could be significant for your dynamic or situation, right? And she's having to gently, kind of tell her daughter, like, basically you're here with me. She doesn't really say like dad's moved on and don't want you no more. She might have said that. Don't say that. But she has to have this difficult conversation like dad's moving on with someone else. He kind of moved away and his contact will be less and less. So you might, excuse me, my throat chakra just tightening up as I say that. You might have to have that difficult conversation. I'm hearing with a child sooner than you think is what I just heard. Okay. So she ends up confronting her old self, kind of clearing up those past demons, right? And she kind of comes home to herself, right? Back to who she was, right? Remembering where she came from, those southern roots, connecting with family, getting involved with, like a nephew, right? Seeing her old love, and this guy really loved her, right? He's always had a crush on her. What is his name? Justin Baptiste, child. Somebody's name could be Justin. Something about that is significant, or just a first love energy, or someone who's always loved you, kind of coming back in this full circle moment. So it's like once she came home to herself, did the healing work that she needed to do, voila, like magic. And in comes this masculine man who's building a house and, doing all the things and ready to basically start a life with her and her daughter after clearing up all this energy, kind of course, grieving the marriage that had just dissolved. And once she worked through that, instead of running from it, she spent a lot of time depressed in the bed. And her mom, that's what her mom confronted her about. Like, you can't just lay in the bed and rot. Like, you have to get up, really get back into yourself. You used to be gorgeous. You used to always have your hair done, your nails done. Do all the things that are you, right? Pour that self love back into you so you can show up better for your daughter. And the more she does that, you see, the more she opens up and more opportunities come her way throughout the movie. So something about that story is significant for someone, just maintaining that sense of hope, right? Also, as fate would have it or luck would have it, right? Something about luck is significant, right? If you believe in that thing, right? I don't believe in coincidences. And then is luck on the same line as that? Like, it's not really luck, it's all destined, fated, and kind of, I'm hearing naturally prescribed, like by the Most High, right? Given to us in doses. Yikes. Okay. For the pharmaceutical education, right? So something about doses are significant. You taking the appropriate amount of doses of something is significant, or you receiving what you can handle in the time and the amounts that you can in small doses, right? Only take on what you can take on, or I'm hearing the Most High, will only put on you what you can handle. I think the Most High thinks some of us are superwoman because what the fuck, right? Don't tell him I said that. Anywho, also, what ends up happening is her mother passes away, right? So her mother was taking care of her nephew, her sister's son, right? Something about that is significant. Grandparents raising children. Perhaps you were raised by your grandparents. That story is significant for someone as well. Southern grandparents. I'm hearing Southern Baptist grandparents. Yikes on a bike with spikes, right? Preachers' kids could be significant, or people just grew up heavily in the church. I'm just getting really, what is the word I want to use? 1313 on the timer. As I say that, I did see 1311 as well. Heavy on the just roles, right? And I'm hearing indoctrination. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but maybe it is. You were, you know, raised a certain way, and perhaps you're having to go back and look at how that upbringing has led you in your situations and circumstances, how it's led you in making certain decisions you've made as it pertains to yourself, your work, your children, whatever have you, right? We have to take that internal inventory kind of, I want to say daily. Obviously, we might not do it daily, but you want to do it kind of consistently to make sure let's just put it like this, to make sure you're downloading the most recent upgrades, to make sure your system that you operate within is working at its optimal way or rate, or its optimal capacity. Whoa. If I don't do anything else, I'm gonna have some vocabulary words dropped on me, child. So just be mindful of that, looking at the systems and ways that you operate in and the things you were kind of indoctrinated and grew up in. Okay. So you might need to do some upgrading, right? And figure out how to transition or pivot into this next part of the journey right? Because just as some people can't go with us, some of our learned behaviors and ways of being, right, can't go with us either. So if you really want to ascend and grow, you have to assess those things that are stagnating your ascension, essentially, right? So take a look at that. You're being called to clear out your energy, do the healing work, the shadow work, the heart work, the energy work, whatever you're called to do. Your spirit team will call you to do it. Just be obedient and open to change and growth is the message here. Be open to change and growth, because at the end of the day, it's all for your highest good. The wind chimes are going crazy as I say that. Heavy spirit, ancestors, angels, and the energy, thank you for blessing us with your presence. As always, we appreciate your love, passion, protection, and light support in this journey moving forward. Back to the story. This was basically a force of nature, right? This was divine timing and alignment, because now if she hadn't gone back and kind of spent time with her mom and, got acclimated back into the house and the things, right? She wouldn't have been there when the mom passed away, right? So that would have just been another whirlwind that she would have had to come for anyway, right? So it was kind of divine realignment, reassignment, and reassessment, basically. So, what I'm getting from this is you could be moving locations or being called to somewhere else, and it might be uncomfortable at the time. She was very uncomfortable going back to her mom's house, but it was for a divine reason, right? Because at the end of the day, mom passed away shortly after. She had to take care of the house and now her nephew, right? And she was already in position to do that. So just go where you're called and trust that you are being divinely guided, as this is a force of nature. As I say, it's a force of nature. The wind is picking up outside, right? And in the movie, there was also a wind chime on the porch, I believe. Something about childhood homes, big porches, just southern energy. I'm getting someone's being called home, right? And it might just be divine realignment for something else bigger at play. She ends up, back meeting with her ex who's really in love with her. And, that story blossoms as well. But this is a force of nature of the Most High to get you on track to where you actually need to be, right? She definitely wasn't supposed to stay where she was in New York with the ex, going through the trauma and the things, right? Unfortunately, I've said this before, it often takes what we know as a tower moment, right? In spirituality, it almost takes a force of nature or something catastrophic happening for us to get on our path, to do the work, to get onto our purpose, and saying like, hey, this ain't where I want to be. I can't operate like this no more. So I have to go forward in another direction, and having I'm hearing chutzpah. I don't know what language that is, but having that energy, now I'm hearing cojones, right? To get on a different path and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. I'm going to be who I am, whether it is the taxidermist in the city that everybody is kind of turning a peculiar eye up to, or whatever your calling is, right? Just embodying who you were meant to be and not worrying about the naysayers. Once I channeled that, okay, it started taking me through like Sandra Bullock movies. I'm thinking like, okay, what else was she in? I was trying to think of the movie Miss Congeniality, but what I blurted out was Serendipity. Okay. Serendipity is about, I don't even know if she's in it. Serendipity is just about a turn of events, basically fated events. Excuse me, confirmation purpose, I say that. Just happen in divine timing. And I'm just getting something of a grand scale, something about the initials L or V or significant. I'm also seeing CL or RC RSRL, right? Something about that significant. It's 11:11 on the freaking spiritual clock. So new beginnings, right? I'm hearing new emotional beginnings on the way. The movie Serendipity, I'm hearing make a wish. What do you wish for? Someone's birthday could be November. You could be a Scorpio. Also, I'm getting two, I always get twos and fours. So Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. Serendipity is about two lovers coming back together after like a 10-year period of separation. If you know, you know, this is giving soulmate, twin flame separation energy finally coming back. And these two have to decide basically like, is this fate pulling them together? Is this destined to be pulling them together? So you could have that in your energy. You know, your person's name could be Justin. I'm hearing justice. This is divine justice for you. Or that person's name could start with a J. Yeah, I'm just seeing justice. I'm seeing a court, but like an old court, like, you know, with them weird wigs and stuff, and the gavel being banged down. Like, yeah, this is divine justice. You know, all the old shit had to clear up, and you got to go into this new direction. It's time. It is time. Okay, so Simba, it's time for you to reclaim that throne. You done went out there, you done ran away and kind of ran away from this calling. It's time to come back, step into your power, step onto that throne. Now I'm seeing Black Panther as well. So this is definitely serendipity. It is a force of nature, right? It's only the divine can orchestrate, right? So just be grounded in that and understand that you're being called to that path for a certain reason. Somebody's name could be Kaya or start with a K. Something could be clear now. Or what I'm getting is the path becomes clear once you take the step, right? So it's kind of like a drive. I'm hearing a deer in the headlights, right? That might be your energy, like you're kind of lost in the abyss. You don't know where you're going. Everything's changing and dropping around you. It's feeling like you're being stripped and robbed of everything. You can't understand 22 on the timer as I say that. You can't understand 22, 26 to be exact. You could be February 26, 6, 22. Birthdays, addresses, phone numbers. I'm seeing June 2nd as well. Red is significant and yellow. Green, blue, and purple. Perhaps a rainbow. Look for the rainbow at the end of the tunnel. You feel like all this is caving in on you, and you probably feeling like, okay, but I was doing everything I needed to do. I was a good person in my relationship. You know, I was a good person to, you know, people in my life, at work, wherever these things are happening, and you're not understanding why it's coming down around you. What you have to understand is sometimes the Most High has to cause destruction in the path. Every storm isn't there to destroy. It's sometimes come in to clear the path. But what I'm getting is when you're on the path, it's kind of like driving in the dark in the fog, right? You can't see far in front of you. You can only see those first couple steps. You won't get more clarity until you take more steps. So the more and more things that you do, once you're called to do it, take action on it, the next steps will be shown to you. So action breeds clarity. So you got to get moving to get clear on where you're intended to go and what you're supposed to do next. If you are feeling lost, it is because you're standing still. You have to take action towards something and trust that you'll be divinely guided. So don't worry so much if it is the wrong thing, because you'll be redirected anyway, okay? And you know, taking no step is further. I'm hearing misguided. Okay, you might have been misguided before. I'm getting the people around you could have been misguiding you, or you don't trust yourself before because you were so set on that other path with the person doing the things, and that all caved in on you. So now you're having to learn to trust yourself again and your decision making. Just understand that you will be guided as long as you are open to the guidance, open to the change, right? Have faith, and most of all, have hope. I hope this message reaches you in a good energy. I hope this provided clarity and, above all, hope. I hope it resonated with you, right? If this resonates for you, just put hope floats in the comments, okay? Because we need the hope to float throughout our energy, and hopefully it touches someone else. As I always say, go in love and light, seek purpose, not just paychecks, and always, always do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Until next time, peace, collective.